I'm so happy you're with me, and I hope to be an influence in what we call inspiring better business. And I hope this video lesson is helpful. Today we're going to talk about taking risk. You know, we all have a risk tolerance, and it's good for us to kind of analyze where we feel comfortable, how much risk can we take, what is our risk tolerance. And I want to start out with a remembrance of the late Dr. James Zirkle. He was a friend of mine. He was my pastor. He's deceased. But in his early days, in the early 1980s, or let's say mid-80s, he was involved with my life, and he made a classic statement when I asking his opinion on things about this taking risk. And he said something very classic to me. He said, Gary, now that I'm down in years just a little bit, and I've had the ability to talk to a number of older people that are probably past their prime. And he said, I asked them, if you had it to do over again, what would you do differently? And you know what he said? He said, many of these people said, I wished I had taken more risk. Interesting. You see, they're saying at the end of life, they're looking back and they're thinking, man, I could have gone more. I could have accomplished much more. I could have seen more sights. I could have done more things. But their summary statement from him is they wish they had taken more risk. Well, guess what? I don't want to be in that category. I don't want to be foolish. I don't want to go crazy. I might be judged a little crazy anyway, but I'm in essence, a risk taker. I'm probably on the barometer, on the scale of how much risk should some take. There's some people that are extremely conservative. They've never left the state that they live in. They certainly are not going to live or move or travel outside the United States. They eat at the same restaurant. They're not going to take a risk in sampling new foods, all kinds of things. Now, I don't want to be foolish. I don't want to be crazy, but I'm on the other spectrum. I'm always thinking, man, I would like to see what's on the other side of the border. I'd like to taste the food that's someplace else. I'd like to experience life just a little bit more. Example, when I'm in college, I was a risk taker. In spring break in my junior year, before I got married, we hitchhiked in 10 days. We hitchhiked from Denver, Colorado to Los Angeles, California. I won't tell you even a third of all that we did. It wouldn't be very glorifying, but I would tell you that we took a risk. We had a total of $40 between the two of us. We had a thumb that said, and a little sign that said LA. We took risk because we got in people's cars. We made it to our friends in LA. We had a fun time. Again, won't tell you everything about that. And we hitchhiked back home, but we couldn't get a ride. So we rode a freight train. We got a freight train overnighter on the flatbed car. We were in the height of glory, but we were taking risks. Boy, that was good memories. Now, in 1982, I'm married, have 3 small children. Some people would think this is highly risky, almost the edge of crazy, but I gave up my good paying job. I decided to move 1,000 miles from Wyoming at that point to Oklahoma. I'm sorry, from Wyoming to Oklahoma with 3 small children to go to Bible school with no job, no income. I had promises of a new job here, but it didn't come about. I took a risk. Man, am I happy I took that risk. It all worked out. Now again, I don't want you to think that you're just supposed to be gambling away, taking chances that are unlogical, irresponsible. Please don't read that into this. Now, I have a business for 17 years. I'm 20 years after my move here. It's the year 2006. I'm age 55. I have a chance to buy this machine shop. This machine shop had only 15,000 square feet, had 41 employees, only bad, worn out old machines. And I bought it. I took every risk I could possibly take to buy a machine shop when I didn't have to. I'm a risk taker, but I'm so happy I did that because it's given me a new lease on life. I'm in my mid-60s. All I can see is 20 more years of taking calculated good risk. And I want to stress, these are calculated good risks, not irresponsible risk taking. Now, I want to give you a few other examples. One, I fly all over the United States. You can read in the newspaper, hear on the TV, all the problems that are in different countries, shootings, rampages, poverty. But I'm in these countries not being foolish. I watch where I go. I don't take undue risk, but I'm challenged to do that in some 40 countries. Now, keep in mind that as you're taking risk, these are 4 points I'd like to make. They're like stepping stones. You don't jump from one to the other. You don't climb the mountain in one leap. You start taking risk at smaller levels. You become comfortable. I told my children that the best in life advice I could give them is to live a life that's on just the edge of being uncomfortable. And if you find yourself living and working in the same job year after year and you're hating that job, you should really consider taking a step of a little risk, because you don't want to lose your life. You don't want to work your life away without living a little bit on the edge. And you want to be able to get ready for each step. How do you take, how you work and how you perform your jobs is an example of how you would go from step to step and get ready. And then you want to have an attitude of not turning back. You know, every little step, you can't step forward and step back. There's times to be not as aggressive, but you make a commitment, go ahead and complete that commitment. Not be wishy-washy and uncertain, but have an attitude of confidence that you can do that. Again, gain knowledge. Make sure that you know what you're doing to the best of your ability, but there's an entire another teaching that talks about you have to say first yes and then how. That's a part of this. It's not going to be all laid out. That's not a risk. If everything's lined out and you have more than enough money to pay cash, I like to pay cash when I can, but when I can't, I'm still taking some risk. And then there is a truth that the bigger the risk, probably the bigger the reward. The bigger the risk, probably will have a bigger reward. That's true in financing. Now, the bigger the risk, the more probability of failure. So someplace in there, you have to be the judge. You have to determine where this is inside of you a calculated good risk, but not over your risk tolerance. And the only way you're going to figure that out is experiment a little bit. And the reality of experimenting, you're probably going to have some failures. But when you fail, don't fail so big you lose your family, your spouse, your kids, your business. Take calculated good risk steps. I hope this is helpful to you. I want to challenge you to take risk. Take calculated, solid step, but also aggressive risk. Become a risk taker within your tolerance.